Hello, good evening. It's News 360 coming to you live from the News Hub here at Adesawe Kanda. I am Portia Gabo.
And my name is Pa Kwesi Asare. And coming up in the next 60 minutes.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
President John Mahama releases the first set of his regional ministerial appointees. We'll delve into their profiles.
Public Utility Workers Union urge its 8,000 members to remain calm as it engages government over the proposed privatization of the Electricity Company of Ghana.
Still ahead in the bulletin tonight, President John Mahama promises to prioritize the restoration of peace to Boku municipality as he promises to announce a list of key ministerial positions for various security agencies this week.
In business news, tax expert calls for robust policies to achieve tax to GDP ratio target of 16 to 18% as envisaged by Finance Minister nominee Dr. Kazel Atuforsen.
And elsewhere on the foreign front, 6 more bodies pulled up from a South African mine as efforts continue to help scores of illegal miners trapped underground. We've got details of all these stories plus many more coming up in the next 60 minutes. Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook. We're also live on your DSTV channel 279. You can join us with your views, comments, and suggestions on any of our top stories this hour. Feel free to visit any of our social media pages on Facebook and on X.
President John Mahama has reaffirmed his commitment to resolving the protracted conflict in Boku. Speaking at the Zuran Palace in Boku after meeting with the Boku Naba this afternoon, the president told chiefs from the Kusor traditional area to exercise restraint and cooperate with stakeholders for lasting peace and development. President Mahama announced his administration's immediate plan to strengthen security leadership by appointing key heads by the close of this week. They include the Ministers of Defense, Interior, National Security Advisor, National Security Coordinator, and Director of the National Intelligence Bureau. He emphasized that resolving the Boku conflict will be a top priority for these appointees.
On October 31, 2024, while seeking the mandate of the people on his Building Ghana tour, the President John Mahama made a firm pledge to the Zugrana Naba as Sigri Azoka II. He was emphatic that he will prioritize resolving the age-old Boku conflicts. 7 days after he swore the oath of office, he returned to the Zugrana in Kusau. His first engagement was a closed-door meeting with the Zugrana. He then moved to the Palace Square. The engagement with the people, he affirmed, was a priority, as he has already stated.
I remember when I was president, Boku and surrounding areas were very peaceful. And work was going on, people were going about their duties. It's sad that this situation has occurred again. And I know that for the last 3 years, you have not been able to sleep. You've been living under stress. And so the priority of our government will be to bring peace back to Boku so that everybody can go about his duties without fear of harassment.
The president again says he will be deliberate in the appointment of his security minister and security chiefs in coming days.
We want to assure you that we're putting in place the various appointments so that we can have ministers and other officials who are responsible for the security to take charge. And so within this week, we will do the appointments of the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Interior, the National Security Advisor, the National Security Coordinator, the BNI Director, and all the others. And when these appointments are made, I'm going to charge them to make Boko one of the #1 priorities that they attend and deal with.
As the President, John Mahama, in just 7 days, has made his move towards resetting the country, he says he will take no sides in the matter.
From here, we'll continue to Nalergo to meet the Nairi too and deliver a message to him. We cannot live in a country where our people don't feel safe. Our people must feel safe to travel wherever they want at whatever time and not have people shooting at them. And so you can be sure that we'll deal with all these situations so that we all can have the peace that we need in order that our traditional areas can progress.
Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Zugranas Palace, Boku.
Let's go on the phone lines and speak to security analyst Colonel Festus Abuaje, retired, who believes President Mahama's visit to Boko will send positive signals to the feuding factions. Good evening, Colonel. Thank you so much for your time. First of all, do you think this visit would send a strong message to the feuding factions to cease fire and engage in talks?
But first of all, thanks for having me. I think precisely so. That a few days after assuming office, he's followed up on his campaign promise that he will attach some seriousness to the Boko conflict in an effort to try and resolve the conflict, or at least to help de-escalate the level of the tension. So this visit sends, as you said, very positive signals. It sends a message to the parties who are involved in and around Boku, whether they are Mamprosis or Kusasis, that the peace process is about to be reinvigorated. And I think, as he said, he will be going to Nararigu, where the Mampusi king is the Nairi, where it's quite important that, as a matter of courtesy or pet tradition, he also calls on the Nairi to assure him, as he said, about his neutrality in the mediation process. What I think I expect is that he is only showing leadership by this visit, which is not very strange to him, because in his previous administration, he visited he visited Boku. And I think he and the late Professor Atamils are the only ones who have visited Boku. So as he's saying, when these ministers, political appointees are in place, along them I think there might be the need also for some respectable traditional leaders, for the example of the Dagbon crisis, so ministers alone who may be seen by the Mampusis as partisan because they were appointed by an NDC president alone will not help. But other traditional leaders and other eminent citizens in Ghana could all help, to see whether there can be a normalization of the situation in Boku.
Colonel, with the appointment of the new security leadership by this week, what do you expect to see happen in the coming months as government works to reduce tensions?
The line wasn't very good, but the fact of the matter is that by the way and manner in which the security forces have conducted their operations, they have become a party to the conflict because they have leaned more towards the use of force and less towards reconciliation or mediation, which is normal or is expected in such circumstances. So I would expect that, as I had asked previously, the government needs to clarify the political objectives for the deployment of the military, because the military or security forces are not the ones who are going to resolve the conflict. They are there, as I have been saying, to de-escalate through measures like the curfew and so on and so forth, patrols, and those kinds of, confidence-building measures. But it's up to the government now to take the lead in bringing the parties around a table, to try and resolve the conflict. And the conflict is old, it's historical. That historical or structural aspect of the conflict is not what this government, I think, will be delving into. But the issues around traditional authority, i.e., the place of the Bokunaba vis-a-vis the Nair, given that the Bokunaba is a Kusasi, the Nair is a Mampusi. Then the socio-economic aspect, access to land, access to water, people being able to pursue their livelihoods, whether guinea fowl farming, agro businesses, trade, and so on and so forth. When there is a semblance of peace, then these activities can take place, and people will move their minds away from, it's a good beginning, but we're not going to see an end to this conflict very soon. There's a lot of commitment by your stakeholders.
Colonel, thank you so much for your time. And Colonel Festus Abuaje, retired as a security analyst.
Thanks, Portia. Let's now go to the Northeast region, where there was an incident earlier today involving some military personnel who are alleged to have stormed the Wale township, targeting citizens and leaving many in distress. The chaos reportedly began in response to a bent vehicle loaded with pepper traveling from Boku to Accra, prompting a heavy military presence that quickly spread throughout the township and forced residents to flee in panic. Solomon Kwame Kanalu has more in this report. He joins us live on Zoom. So, Solomon, can you provide insights into what exactly happened in Wale Wale this morning? I'm afraid we're having some technical challenges with Solomon's line on Zoom. A reminder, if you just joined us, this is News 360, our major news bulletin for the day. We're streaming live on Facebook, also live on your DSTV channel 279. Now, President John Mahama has submitted a list of 10 regional ministers to the Speaker of Parliament for approval. Now, let me take you through the list of nominees that was presented by the President early on today. Right, so for the Volta region, we've got James Gunu, Rita Awate for the Eastern region, Charity Gardner for the Ahafo region. For the Upper East region, we've got Akamugri Atanga, Frank Amwakuhene for the Ashanti region, John Kwejo Jepon for the Oti region. The Northeast region is Ibrahim Tia Linda Oklu for the Greater Accra region, Ali Adolf John for the Northern region. Northeast region, Ibrahim Tia Linda Oklu, I did mention that for the Greater Accra region, and then also Salisu B. Awaribe for the Savannah region. So this is a list of 10 nominees that have been presented by the President, John Dramani Mahama, earlier today. And the list has been submitted to the Speaker of Parliament to be announced later today. All right. Let me just take you through the names of the nominees for the Volta region. We've got James Gunu, Rita Awate for the Eastern region, Charity Gardner for the Ahafo region. Akamugri Atanga for the Upper East region, Dr. Frank Amwakohene for the Ashanti region, John Kwejo Japon for the OT region as well, Ibrahim Tia for the Northeast region, Linda Oklu for the Greater Accra region, Ali Adolf John for the Northern region, and then Salisu B. Awaribe for the Savannah region. Let's get on the phone lines now and speak to local government expert, Dr. Frederick Oduro. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. Are you impressed with the profiles of the first set of regional ministerial appointees?
Well, they are mostly regional executive members, or so to speak, executive members of the NDC. Basically, but it seems not to be too different from the recent trends that we've seen under President Akufo-Addo in his first term particularly. We saw regional chairmen, quite a good number of regional chairmen being appointed as regional ministers. Even the constituency chairpersons were also appointed as chief executives. So it looks to be a similar trend we are seeing here.
Now, you know, for the northern region and especially some areas where we know that there's ongoing conflict with the kind of names that have been put forward, knowing that most of them, you know, have worked as party executive for years now, is there a sense that the president's tried to bring in people who have got the capacity to deal with all these challenges going on in these regions?
Well, if you look at the position of regional ministers, you realize they're also the heads of the regional security council. And basically, they are there, if you look at their positions generally, they are there to, be the reps of the president at the regional level. They are there to have the coordination of the work of the MND, that's the Municipal, Metropolitan and District Assemblies. They are also there to head the regional security councils. So they have diverse roles they would be expected to play as political heads of the regions. You can't discount the security roles. However, that may not necessarily be the key issue with some of these appointments, although for areas where you with long-term conflicts, as you can, if you take the Boko case in the upper East region, it might inform the decision of the president to appoint in the appointment of a regional minister. However, it may not be solely the reason.
Right, Dr. Frederick Oduro, thank you very much for your time and for sharing your insights here with us on News 360. Now, let me just take you through a brief profile of some of the nominees for the position of regional ministers. And for the Greater Accra region, we've got Linda Oklu, who is the Member of Parliament for the Shai Osudoku constituency. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Administration, that's Banking and Finance option from the University of Ghana. For the Ashanti region, we've got Dr. Frank Amwakohene, who is a medical professional and youth leader with expertise in healthcare, governance and public service. He also holds a Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery from the University of Ghana, a Doctor of Medical Laboratory Science degree from UDS, and an MBA from the Accra Business School. Rita Akosia Ej Awate, who's from the Eastern region, is a distinguished leader with a wealth of experience in governance, education, and community development. She holds an MPhil in leadership from the University of Professional Studies, Accra, and also has an impressive track record as a local governance practitioner, having served as presiding member for the Yilo Krobo constituency. And then maybe just finally, let me give you a brief profile about the Northeast Regional Minister nominee, Mr. Ibrahim Tia, who is a public health finance and local governance professional with expertise in systems management, public relations and health finance, and then also has extensive experience, including his work with the National Health Insurance Scheme, where he rose from the position of district manager to a deputy regional manager for the Northern Regional Office of the NHI. So this is just a brief profile of some of the nominees for the position of regional minister.
Let's now continue with the rest of our stories. And distraught traders at the Kantamanto market in Accra are demanding for an account of all forms of donations received on behalf of traders who lost their wares and capital to the January 2 blaze. Stanley Niblew reports that although life is returning to the market, lack of funds is impeding reconstruction of shops there.
At the Kantamanto market in Accra have been struggling to revive their business since fires swept through the once vibrant second-hand clothing hub. A section of the market also play host to traders who deal in eggs, poultry, shoes, among others. A visit to the market on Monday showed a gradual return of life to the commercial hub, even though reconstruction of makeshift shops has not been completed. While construction is in earnest, some second-hand clothing vendors are already back at post. Wares are displayed on small scale to attract buyers. Traders who could not reconstruct their shops due to lack of funds now sell under umbrellas on their portioned spaces. Some traders, however, are not happy with their leaders, who they claim have not been accountable.
There have been some donations, but they are with the leadership of the second-hand clothing dealers. This morning, we went to them for our portion of a cement donation, but we were told the cement has been locked, so the ex-sellers have not benefited from any donations.
A
lot of people have come to donate, but we are yet to see the money.
Their woes have also been exacerbated by the high cost of reconstruction.
The Ghana Railways authorities permitted us to erect a shed to protect us from the scorching sun, but AMA officials have also come to demand for 150,000 cedis as permit fee. We are already in distress. Where did they expect us to get that sort of money?
Manager of the Kantamanto market, Educhum Atamenu, insists traders will be updated on monies received this week.
We are from a committee. We are working around the clock. So in no distant time, we inform them how much we have gotten and how we are going to put to use. We are going to seek their consent before the money is used to benefit all of them.
Last week, the leader of the Ex-Sellers Association at Kantamanto allegedly died from a reported heart attack when she came to the market pondering over how she lost her capital and the association's contributions she had kept in her shop to the inferno. This has left other traders devastated. The space occupied by the ex-sellers is yet to receive a facelift after portions of its walls gave in to the fire. For some traders, increasing surveillance through the use of CCTV cameras must be a priority.
CCTV cameras.
We need CCTV cameras here. Security guards must also be recruited in addition, so that traders will be levied to pay them to protect the market.
Until life fully returns to Kantamanto, traders look up to intervention to bounce back. Stanley Niblew, TV3 News, Kantamanto, Accra.
The beginning of 2025 has seen some devastating market fire incidents that have consumed years of investment of victims. Affected traders at Kantamanto, Techiman Central Market and the Kwadasu Wood Market are yet to fully recover from the shock of losing their livelihoods. To avert some of these avoidable market fire incidents, the Ashanti Regional Fire Command has instituted some measures as a stopgap. Here's a report by Ibrahim Abubakar.
Between January 1 and 12 this year, 80 fire outbreaks have been reported in the Ashanti region. These included domestic, bush and market fires. At Kwadasu Wood Market, victims are yet to bounce back. The burnt portion remains undeveloped. The Ashanti Regional Fire Command is worried about the incident of market fires across the country.
All the markets in the region, all districts or municipal fire officers have increased their patrols in those markets. We will continue to do that based on what is happening in other parts of the country. So we are so much involved in the monitoring of what markets within the region.
The command expressed concern over incessant attacks on personnel whenever they attend to fire situations.
If it happened that way, firemen don't have the motivation to move in. Even this Saturday, they were attacked at Konongo. Konongo fire tender is out of commission for some time now. So a Jusu fire station have to travel nearly 40 kilometers to Konongo just to get there, and they were attacked.
Away from the Ashanti region, while some strong arguments are for or against privatization of ECG, other proposals are in favor of the move to make ECG partially private. Regardless of these sentiments, President John Mahama has expressed his resolve to privatize ECG with backing from some agencies within the energy sector. A report by Ikuya Ofuruwa Adaku.
The Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, is set to be one of Ghana's struggling state-owned entities. On the backdrop of this, President John Mahama hinted that privatizing the ECG will help improve power distribution. Also, during the vetting of the Energy Minister-designate John Jinapo, he made it known that a 7-member committee will be instituted to spearhead the possible privatization of ECG. What do Ghanaians think?
As a receiving end, I buy electricity, they put it off and on. If I have any other option, I will go for that option and leave ECG. Because basically, they are not doing what they're supposed to do. And the customer at the end of the receiving end are suffering. See, I can give you instant right now. 3 days ago, I bought power. Today, immediately I said, oh, I'm coming to do something, or the light is off. I came here looking for explanation. Nobody is giving me explanation.
Again, because you think ECG does not have any competitor, that is why they don't do as expected.
Oh, yes, of course. If they have any competitor, everybody will be running to the other side, leaving ECG, because they are not efficient. They are not running the company as it should be.
I truly don't believe in privatizing some of these major major things that I think the government need to hold on to. Something like water, electricity. I don't think privatizing it will really help. The government need to have control over it and then do its best to make sure that we have it. The generation and everything should be on point.
I don't think ECG should be privatized. I have a lot of confidence in the capacity and the ability of the Ghanaian to be able to manage any state enterprise. You have a lot of Ghanaians outside who are strategic consultants for a lot of countries outside this country, and I don't think we don't have the men to do it. It's about attitude.
It should be maintained as a state-owned entity.
Why are you saying that?
Because how I see things, we have a new government now. We have to see whether there must be a change in the electricity tariffs or something before we can do anything else about it.
Present issues faced by ECG, including financial losses and inefficiencies, have necessitated plans by the government to privatize the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG. According to the Executive Director of ASEP, Ben Boache, ECG's performance has retrogressed over time.
If you check the indicators and the numbers, it clearly shows that ECG has been underperforming year on year, and the data is clear on that. And how we deal with that has always been our concern. And you look at how the inefficiencies manifest. It's a simple matter of not being able to sell power and collect the revenues.
The former boss of ECG, Samuel Dubik Mahama, says he is optimistic about the successful operations of ECG if it becomes an independent power distributor.
I asked KPMG to do an audit both of the upstream and then the system losses of ECG. The upstream had its own, dynamics that it brought out, which now shows that it's very prominent that we need an independent power operator, an independent market operator totally. Because when you have this amount of, generation in your system, and you don't have someone who sits in between to call to make sure that the power is distributed right, or the right amount of power is sent to certain areas, then there's some inequality that would come into the game.
To privatize ECG or not, time will tell, as the new government is working steadily to possibly privatize the state-owned power distributor. Ekia Oferiwa Dako, TV3 News, Accra.
The Public Utilities Workers Union, PUW, is kicking against government's proposed move to privatize the Electricity Company of Ghana. Leadership of PUW are also calling for calm amongst over 8,000 members who work for ECG. Meanwhile, the leadership says it is poised to engage government to offer alternatives to make ECG viable. Here's a report by Daniel Opoku.
In 2016, government privatized the revenue unit of the Electricity Company of Ghana over issues of inefficiencies. The privatization triggered agitations and demonstrations among the workers of ECG nationwide. Some offices of ECG also had red armbands hoisted to register their displeasure over the privatization. Under the previous deal in 2016, the Power Compact 2 was to allow 80% of private participation in ECG, while some $1 billion was to be injected into the company to help its operations for a period of 5 years. The Millennium Challenge Corporation was to invest $418 million, while a private company, Miracle, was to invest $540 million to revamp the operations of ECG. But this did not yield any results until 2017, when another government renegotiated the privatization deal. Currently, Government through the Minister of Energy designate John Jenapo has announced another privatization deal of the company. His announcement has triggered discontention among workers of ECG. The workers, who are members of the Public Utilities Workers Union, are asking their leadership to intervene. The General Secretary of PUW, Timothy Nyame, said the union would remain resolute to kick against the privatization deal.
Privatizing ECG and selling it, as some people are saying, within 6 months we are selling it. I'm just very worried, because our own brother is Honorable Jenapo was saying that within the next 6 months, or by 6 months, we will sell ECG. Here is the case: you are undergoing vetting. You have not been approved. You have not sent a paper to the cabinet. You understand? Present a paper to cabinet to get cabinet approval, and you can now predetermine the time of sale. Do you have some people to buy? It means that have you predetermined? It's a whole thing. So well, we're also ready to engage in.
He called for calm among the workers of ECG.
Members are very much concerned. Members are very much concerned because they know what ECG stands for. It's a national asset that should not be toyed with. Yeah, it should not be toyed with at all. Yeah, from the time people started, because those people some of those people who go there or who are making those statements, we know them. We know the interest they wanted to have in ECG. We know. So it's not. We are not talking out of this thing.
He also advised the President, John Dramani Mahama, to be vigilant in his operations with those seeking to privatize the company.
Certain people who don't have what it takes to manage their power distributor, then instead of going to congratulate His Excellency, they now want to use it as an opportunity to talk about the power sector and what they can do. We have noted them with keen interest because we know them. They have been there over the period. Some of them have also metamorphosed into another entity in an attempt to say that, oh, this one is bad, this one is good, don't do this, don't do that. We are not saying His Excellency should not listen to them. I said, after all the consultation with the people, we should not forget the stakeholders, the major stakeholders in the industry.
A reminder, you're still watching News 360, our major news bulletin for the day. We'll be back shortly.
You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo Paint. Simply super.
Not saying me trying tasting kuyi. Tasty Tom. Add the new seasoning powders about chicken, stew, jollof, shrimp, beef. The way it enhances the natural aroma. Tasty Tom, dear. I trust them. And there is no staining of fish, meat, or chicken. Me need also. New aroma.
New taste.
New taste from Tasty Tom new seasoning powder.
But then the end,
Flavor and taste. This advert is FDA approved.
Whenever you fly to space,
West Hills Ridge Property, Eden Heights.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obudu. Now, tax analyst Francis Timor-Boy says to attain significant progress in the country's tax-to-GDP ratio, the government must be prepared to introduce robust policies. Finance Minister nominee Dr. Cassiel Atoforcing at his vetting revealed plans to increase Ghana's tax-to-GDP ratio up to 18% during his tenure. To achieve this, Timor-Boy emphasizes the need for effective tax compliance measures, particularly in the informal sector.
If you look at the current rate at which we are, 14%,
And over the years, we've not even crossed 17. And within 4 years, you are targeting 18 to 20%. Even though the GRA in their strategic plan for 2023 to 2027, they are targeting between 18 to 20%. That's a huge tax, but it's doable if you're able to, revamp our tax system, put in the necessary policy reforms. We should be able to do that. We have very few people who contribute to tax in Ghana. The informal sector is left on tax. We have for example, the transport sector. The people who operate the transport business virtually pay nothing. So it is about how efficient he's going to be in terms of the tax administration as well as the policy reforms that he's bringing.
Economist Professor John Gachi says for government to attain its inflation target, it must aggressively implement agricultural policies that will help reduce food inflation in the country drastically. This follows Finance Minister nominee Dr. Cassiel Atuforsen's promise during his vetting to lower inflation from its current rate of over 23% to a target range of 8% plus or minus 2. Speaking on Business Focus, Professor Gachi noted that the projections are feasible provided the government addresses the rising cost of food in the country effectively.
When he talk about coordination, he's talking about the productive sectors like agri, like trade, and the Minister of Finance is the Bank of Ghana, so that effort can be put in place to target some crops to be produced in quick succession, so that we can, in a very short period of time, see a moderation of inflation regarding food, and that will culminate in overall drive down of inflation. So I believe that he has a very clear understanding of how to coordinate effort to do that. So we only hope that he is able to do as he has indicated.
Now, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry has supported planned privatization of the power distribution in the country. Speaking on Business Focus, Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber, Mark Bedua-Boaji, noted that all that industry needs is stable, reliable and affordable power supply for businesses to flourish.
Electricity or energy is something that we always pray that we don't have issue with it at all, and it's supposed to be consistent and reliable and of course affordable to us. If you supply the energy and it's also to the extent that we that are consuming cannot pay for, then obviously becomes also a challenge to us. So whether it's a private sector coming in, of course if the private sector coming in, then we are sure of efficiency, we are sure of high productivity, we are also assured of possibly injection of new kind of funds or funding into the energy sector. That will be good. And of course, they will be also able to recover their costs and also pay off whatever input they might have used. So I'm also use this opportunity to encourage the government that whatever cost or whatever they owe the IPPs, I think they should try as much as possible to pay them. They are businesses. And whatever input they might have used, they might also source it from other individuals or companies at a cost, and they need to pay them.
GCB Bank PLC, one of Ghana's leading financial institutions, has sponsored the construction of a modern pediatric unit at the Legon Hospital in Accra. The facility is to replace the existing old building and provide quality healthcare services to children who visit the hospital.
The pediatric unit, which is fully funded by GCB Bank, is part of its corporate social responsibility. The facility is expected to significantly improve the healthcare delivery in the hospital. Speaking at the commissioning ceremony, the managing director of GCB Bank PLC, Kofi Adomakon, emphasized the bank's commitment to supporting the development of Ghana's healthcare sector.
So we have a policy, a corporate social responsibility policy, where we put aside some of our profits every year to give back to the communities where we work, the communities who support us, the communities who give us the staff, the communities who give us business. And these are Ghanaian communities. These are small communities. These are the people who live in those communities. And so we put money aside, like I said, and we focus on certain areas. We focus on health. It's one of our, that's why we are doing this project today.
He added that the building will be completed in about 14 months.
This project, we are giving ourselves, I think, 14 months. In the maximum 14 months, this project should be up and running.
The Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Nanaba Apianfo, commended GCB Bank for its contribution to the healthcare sector.
And so on behalf of university management, I extend our profound gratitude to the bank for their generosity and unwavering support. This new building will significantly enhance the capacity of the Health Services Directorate to provide child-friendly healthcare services that meet the highest standards globally. I want to take this opportunity to commend the leadership of the Health Services Directorate and the Hospital Management Committee chaired by Professor Gordon Abakankroma for their dedication and tireless efforts in upgrading this health facility.
The ceremony ended with a sword curtain by the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana and the Managing Director of GCB PLC.
And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Up next, the sports.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. The Ghana Football Association has appointed Kim Las Joikegren as the new head coach of Ghana's senior national women's team, also known as the Black Queens. The former Racing Louisville FC coach takes over from Nora Hoopla, who joined Zambia after her contract expired on December 31, 2024. Joikegren will be assisted by coaches Charles Sampson and Anita Ward. My colleague Akosia Eje details what the new coach would be adding to the team.
Until his appointment as a Black Queens coach, Kim Larson Joikegren was the manager for NWSL side Racing Louisville. This is his biggest appointment in his managerial career. The Black Queens missed out on the women's AFCON in the last edition and will be hoping to replicate the many success stories they have chopped at this particular championship. And for Kim Larson Joikegren, has his work cut out for him, as he will be hoping to replicate what his fellow countrywoman Nora Hoopla did with the Black Queens.
Well, let's do some more here and specifically focus on the Ghana Premier League because Asante Kotoko have lost two key players, namely Albert Amoah, who's their top scorer, and right back Emmanuel Kote to injury. Amoah is expected to be out for 2 months, but Kote has been ruled out for the rest of the season. My colleague Richard Echampon has more in the following report.
But two injuries to two key men will now test the depth deeply. The Porcupine Warriors have won 4. Albert Amoah with 9 goals in 14 games and Emmanuel Kote have been key. Kote is now out till the end of the season with an ACL injury, while Albert Amoah will be out for 2 months. Kotoko's coach, Prosper Ogum, says it's unpleasant news losing the two players, but is hopeful they will recover quickly. But just how much will the absence of these two players, especially Albert Amoah, hurt the Porcupine Warriors? Richard Echampon covers Kotoko for us.
It is a big blow because he's the highest scoring player of the side, having scored 9 goals in all competitions, 7 in the league and 2 in the FA Cup. But because there is Kwame Poku, who has scored 3 goals in his 3 games, and then they will have the experienced Samson Eduku and the enterprising Isaac Peter. I think Kotoko can mitigate the negative effect this particular injury could have on the side in their pursuit to win both the Ghana Premier League and the FA Cup.
Now let's head over to news on the continent, where the Confederation of African Football has announced a postponement of the Total Energies CAF African Nations Championships that will be hosted in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda in 2025, and they've postponed it to August. Now the tournament, which was initially scheduled for February, would now be played in August, while significant progress has been made in the construction and upgrading of stadiums, training facilities, hotels, hospitals, and other key infrastructure across Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda still have work to do on them. And CAF's technical and infrastructure experts have advised that additional time is needed to ensure that all facilities meet the required standards for a successful tournament. In an official press release, CAF President Dr. Patrice Motsepe expressed his appreciation to the presidents of all three host countries. The official draw for the tournament that would be hosted in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania would take place on the January 15 in Nairobi. That would be it for the draw for the tournament. Remember that Ghana failed to qualify for the competition. Just by way of updates, Chelsea have taken the lead in their Premier League game that's currently being played against Bournemouth. Cole Palmer there finishing after a neatly laid through ball by Nicholas Jackson. Other games that will be going on tonight: West Ham are home against Fulham as Mohamed Kudus starts. Brentford host Manchester City as Liverpool will be looking to return to winning ways in the Premier League when they travel to high-flying Nottingham Forest. Well, that's how we wrap up the sports segment here. You can get updates on all of these games on our social media handles at 3SportsGH. My name is Oreko Ampofo.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by Napa Foods, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil, powered by 3 Entertainment.
Tonight in this segment, versatile artist and winner of TV3's Mentor 13, Romeo Swag, has promised his fans nothing but exceptional music following his big win. The incredible, talented artist also shared his next move after being crowned champion.
All 5 contestants, Jimmy, Romeo Swag, Ray Cooper, AJ Tunes and Robbie K, competed fiercely for 13 weeks in an intense battle, each aiming for more than just the title of Mentor winner. The stakes were high, with 80,000 Ghana cedis cash prize, a recording deal, and 80,000 Ghana cedis worth of airtime up for grabs. The electrified contestants captivated fans with diverse musical genre, each performing their original compositions. In the first round of the fierce competition, Ray Cooper opened the round with a track titled Oboshi. Vocal powerhouse AJ Tunes followed with his hit Show Working, which was simply unstoppable. Romeo Swag took his performance to the next level in Round 2, delivering an unforgettable set alongside Lyrical Joe and Gas Miller. In the end, each contestant brought their A game, making the competition incredibly close. After a nerve-wracking final moment, Romeo Swag emerged victorious, taking home 80,000 Ghana cedis cash prize, a recording deal, and 80,000 Ghana cedis worth of airtime, along with several other exciting prizes from sponsors. Second place winner Ray Cooper was awarded a 10,000 Ghana cedis cash prize, TV3 promotional airtime worth thousands of cedis, and several other prizes from sponsors. Despite his victory, Romeo Swag vowed not to disappoint his fans and promised to continue delivering nothing but good music.
I would say that it has been great, but this win is not just for Romeo Swag. This win is for every person that contributed to this success. I really needed this to open doors for me. You know, the Mentor 13 title, we take on enter streets, we take on do more things. So watch out. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. But I need straight up.
Talking about beginning, what are some of the things you should really think out for from Romeo Swag?
I mean, obviously more shows, more concerts, more creative arts, more stage crafts. Anything we are, you know, you always have to expect the unexpected when it's Romeo Swag. But I need.
On a rather sad note, the president of the Musician Union of Ghana, Musica, Bessa Simons, has confirmed the death of Teddy Osei of Osibisa fame. He confirmed that he died in London on the morning of Tuesday, January 14. He was 88 years old, born in Kumasi in December 1937. Teddy Osei is best known for his leadership of Osibisa, the Afro-rock band he founded in 1969. Introduced to music at an early age, Teddy Osei took up the saxophone while attempting.
May his gentle soul rest in perfect peace. Let's now go for some sports of international news.
6 more bodies have been pulled up from a South African mine as efforts continue for a second day to help scores of illegal miners, still thought to be at least 2 kilometers or 1.2 miles underground. A national umbrella body for NGO Sanko has told the BBC. 8 people came out alive on Tuesday, adding to the 26 rescued on Monday after they were hoisted up the disused mine shaft in a cage operated by a crane at the surface. 9 bodies were recovered on Monday. The men have been underground since police operations targeting illicit mining started last year across the country. Last week, a court ordered the government to facilitate a rescue operation that had been long delayed. A Ugandan military court has ruled that prominent opposition figure Kizza Besigye can be tried on the charge of treachery, for which he could face the death penalty if convicted. The ruling on Tuesday escalates the legal trouble Besigye faces and the run-up to presidential elections scheduled for 2026. Besigye, who has contested the presidency 4 times, went missing in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, on November 16. Days later, he and his accused, an assistant named Obed Lutali, appeared before a military court in Kampala, the Ugandan capital. Besigye was charged with illegal possession of a firearm in a charge relating to the alleged solicitation of military support overseas in order to destabilize national security. The opposition leader, who denied the charges, has since been remanded in custody.
Well, that's all for News 360. Thanks very much for watching. For more news, you can log on to our website. It's www.3news.com. My name is Pa Kwesi Asari.
And I am Portia Gabo. Do join Alfredo Cancer at 10 p.m. for Ghana Tonight. Good evening.